This is kind of a goofy, like a thought about this is or like half of anyone who ever gets married gets a divorce.
That's a sad
And
statistic.
COVID, though, slowed it down. So there
Oh.
was one good thing that came out of it.
And I think the people had more babies.
So yeah, you kind of touched on that before we started. Was it, how are we going to make this a fun topic, And, I think it's funnier later than it is
Not in the
during.
Not
and
during. I'm trying to
Maybe
navigate
right
it.
before and then maybe like for several years after.
Yeah.
Going through a divorce. I feel like Burl Ives in Rudolph when he talks about.
Oh.
No, in Rudolph where he talks about oh, it was the worst. It was the worst. It was
Chills.
the worst. Yeah, it was the worst Christmas snow ever. It's because it's not good for anybody,
No.
And it's hard to even. I mean, every situation's different.
Yeah.
For me, though, it's hard to think. I know there are some that are horrible, horrible circumstances.
Yeah, there
But
are.
then there are others that when the divorce occurs, it's not really,
It's not really shocking or hard or difficult or.
well, I don't know about shocking or hard, but I mean, it's like, it's hard to understand, why did you do that? Why do you want
Yeah.
out? What do you, and
Yeah.
it's like, why couldn't you always be working together and cruising towards, I mean, I know that when we were dating, those were always a lot of the questions that I was asking because I never wanted to go through a divorce again.
Yeah.
Was what are your feelings about it? How are you going to work through it? Even though we both had divorces, and on my side, I've been through divorced families, and some of our children have had divorces.
Yeah.
And it's always, I think, as a grandparent, you have to look at it like let's talk about like if a grandparent gets a divorce.
Yeah.
It's like for us, it's too late.
Oh, well, yeah, for sure. It is too late.
It's too late.
It's too late.
So we're 14 years into this, and I don't want to go looking for anybody else. I don't want to date. I don't
know.
I don't want to go online. I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff.
No, I don't either. And no, I just become a cat lady.
And you see these guys, they're like 80, 90 years old, marrying someone 30 years younger than them.
They're not giving up.
Of course, they have $1 billion.
Right.
And however many millions of dollars you have makes you a certain many years younger, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah.
and then they have a child, like Mick Jagger or.
Well, it's Mick Jagger and.
Not that he's 90, but
no,
he's close.
what's his name? I see his face.
What does he do? What's he in?
He was in Meet the Fockers and.
Godfather De Niro.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Robert De Niro. He's had a kid.
Recently
had a kid at a young age.
with a girlfriend.
Yeah, and then also from Say Hello to My Little Friend. Why can't I remember names today?
Al Pacino.
Thank you. God, I don't ever have this much trouble.
I'm usually the one.
He's the one that usually remembers. I'm the one that usually remembers. See? Anyway.
But why?
Why?
It's like,
why
do that? My kid be 20. We look at it like our grandkids now that when they're 20, I'm gonna be 84 or 5 or something. And
yeah.
Why would I want to have a child
at 80?
Now and be, or even later. So I don't. I used to, when I was dating, because I have 4 kids, I would ask whoever I was going out with if they liked children, and if they said, yeah, I'd really love to have another one or two, I'd be check please. Yeah, done, out of here, thanks.
Yep. That was nice knowing you.
But as a parent to 4 kids, I couldn't just marry someone who had no kids, because I didn't think that would be fair.
Right.
You know, and
Yeah,
and
that's
then
true.
most women that didn't have any kids or had one kid wasn't interested in a guy who had four kids. And I did date a couple of people that had no kids, and I guess they thought that being a part of a family, or they were too old to have kids, or maybe they didn't want to have children themselves but wanted children in their lives. But I just didn't see that being something that worked out in my particular situation. I'm sure it does and can.
No, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it has.
You know, whereas ours, you had 3, I had 4. The Brady Bunch lives on.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
but say grandparents are getting a divorce. It happens.
Yeah.
We won't say how, but we happen to know of a guy who was like 70 years old, and his wife won Publishing's Clearinghouse or something.
Yeah, it
like
was
$1
that.
million or something.
Yep.
And
She was like, I'm out.
I'm going to Florida,
Bye.
divorcing you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That didn't work out so much because
They still had to split the
still had
money.
to split the money.
But
so.
but to think, after all that time, she was finally ready
To
giddy up and go.
get up and go and start over in Florida.
Right. So I don't know. Maybe she had somebody lined up there.
I don't
years
know. I guess
ago,
we'll never
or,
know.
You know, and you when Viagra first came out,
Jeez.
you know, there was a big turn of like STDs. They don't call them that anymore. There's another term for them.
yeah.
But anyway,
Don't ask me. I don't know. I'm having trouble today. So
what was happening at you know at homes where elderly homes were that, because there was a
Nursing
lot
homes?
of there was a lot of
retirement communities. Yeah.
promiscuity going on, you know, and promiscuity going on, and so it was it was
Words
all
are
through that
hard.
little pill, you know. And so I guess there was some new life pumped into those folks.
Yeah,
but
I guess so.
you know, so there was that going on, but not necessarily matrimony.
No, just fun.
Now your grandfather got married.
Yes, I was about to
Did they?
mention
But that wasn't a divorce. He was a widow, right?
Right. He was a widow, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, she was quite a bit younger, maybe 10 years or something younger. And then, that was
How old
unique.
was he? Was he 80 yet?
Yeah, maybe he was probably in that area, and I think she was maybe 10 years younger. And the thought is that she thought he had money, and he didn't. They got married, and that was interesting being at that wedding. I will say, I really don't know.
And
it was weird.
you know, you see the what is it, the Senior Bachelor or whatever that show was called?
Yeah,
and
Senior Bachelor.
hey, you don't want to. You know, if you fall in love, you find love, you got
Good
love.
for you.
Good for you. You know, make the most of it.
But I will say it was a weird experience being at your grandfather's wedding, and then he trying to get, not to get too sad or too dark, but they were on their honeymoon, and he had a heart attack in the water off the coast of, I believe, Cozumel. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, thanks for the downer.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry to hear about that.
Thank you.
Although I've heard the story before.
I
But
know you have.
It's sad, but it's not, because apparently he was happy.
He was happy. He was
you know?
happy. He was,
and maybe if he'd have continued on in that marriage, maybe
knows?
not as happy. Who
I
knows?
don't know.
Maybe he got
was a-
the fulfillment out of that time they had
short
together.
time they had together. Yeah.
So, you know, and so I guess you have to look at it that way.
Yeah.
Half full glass, you know.
Yeah.
And,
Glass half full. Yeah.
And so it's like, for me, one of the best things about being a grandparent is the toys.
Is it now?
This one is a favorite. It's from Playskool. It's Busy Ball Popper Toy.
Very loud.
And it's been a hit for us. I mean, we thought when we got this, because the kids, we thought it would be good for them when they were just toddlers to be able to grip something and to push something.
Oh yeah,
and
it's a lot of.
hear a noise and to make mechanics work.
It's good for coordination.
And so, you know, it can be a little noisy, and after 300 times straight, you know, it might get on your
annoy you a
nerves.
little
But
bit.
remember, they're going home to their mom and dad. So you just push the button, and there you go.
Down.
And they love watching
love it
these
so much.
little colored balls go down.
I try to
through
grab
there.
them in the midair.
Now, the one thing you have to watch, and that we have 4, 5, 8-year-olds that still come over and play with this thing.
And 18-year-old likes to
nonstop.
sometimes.
And they will see if other things will go through there, like
Golf balls.
Cheetos,
Ping pong balls.
any number of things. So you have to
Race
watch
cars.
it. You might find yourself cleaning it out from time to time, but
Yeah.
it is a lot of fun.
Super
and
fun.
you should definitely put this in
Check
your
it out.
arsenal of toys, and you might find yourself playing with it.
A lot.
But I can't imagine, after we've been together, we have grandchildren now that have been in your life for 14 years, and others that from the day they were born were in your life. At one time, our oldest grandchild, when we were first dating, she told her, because they had been playing and playing and
Exhaustively
playing. Yeah,
playing
and she
for
needed a
hours.
break. And the granddaughter, okay, I'm going to take a break. And my granddaughter told her, either you keep playing or I'm going to tell my grandfather to break up with you.
No.
What?
She said she was going to have me fired.
Oh, yeah. It's just have you fired as my girlfriend.
Yes. That's funnier than that.
Yeah, that is pretty fun. But, so it's like I couldn't say, here's the new grandma. Here's your new grandma.
No, you
Grammy
can't.
2.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
No, because there's already an established grandma. So and plus I was a girlfriend, so you can't call me a grandma when I'm your girlfriend. So.
No, but I'm saying why I wouldn't get a divorce now.
Oh, okay.
Because not only are we, do I adore you and think you're the greatest and I love you so much,
Aw.
but and you don't care for me that much.
No,
but,
not really.
So it's like, but because of that, we have a family tie, we have a commitment, we have a life together, and we've built that based on our prior experiences. We've made certain that we are more in tune with our needs and our wants, so that we don't feel like we're not getting the attention that we need to be happy in our lives. And so I think that that's something as grandparents, or maybe this is your second or third marriage, that you need to really think about, because some people might think, they're not my grandkids, I'm out of here. But when you take them out of their life, what are they thinking? Where's this person?
Yeah.
It's like, I know that my mom was married to a man that he was given the title grandpa
Oh,
for
really?
the time
Right off
that
the
they
bat?
were married, but grandpa with his name, and then but he wasn't a very good grandpa.
Interactive.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah.
He didn't. He just, when we went over, the kids had to be like in a place, and they couldn't move, and they couldn't
Right
touch
there.
this or
Yep.
get on his grass or anything like that. And
Wow. Like a
so
museum.
yeah, and so it was like when he was gone, it wasn't like it was, because when my mom passed away, he was like, well, hey, he actually told us this. This isn't going to be like, a continued family experience.
It was nice knowing you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm done, Although my mom wanted me to try to touch base and stay in touch and have a
wasn't
relationship,
interested.
and I tried it first, but
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
whatever, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good luck with your life, too.
Gonna have my life now.
So, it was, but that luckily my kids weren't that close, so they
So,
didn't
yeah, it
feel
wasn't-
any big loss.
Yeah, it wasn't a big
And
impact
they were
on them.
young,
Yeah.
so they didn't feel another loss on top of my mom's death,
Right.
So that would have been a double hit
Yeah.
had they have been,
Yeah.
and been incredibly sad. But
Yeah.
it was not there. So as grandparents, if you were to be a divorce, you still should stay in that child's life. If you present yourself as a grandparent, whether you're a step grandparent or not, you should still maintain an existence with
Oh
them.
yeah, for sure. That's
I
important.
mean,
The relationship has already been established. You don't want to sever that.
you
So.
have an experience with one of your exes that was a step parent for many years.
Yes.
And then he wasn't at all anything to your child.
No. And I mean, would he have wanted to continue that? I don't really know, because really my daughter didn't really give him the option to. She was because, she was my firstborn, or is my firstborn, and so she was very protective of me and our relationship. So she immediately, speaking of like siding with someone, she immediately was like, I'm on your side, Mom.
Well, sure, but there's still, we don't know. We don't have to go into all that, but it's more of like, I think that's important. If you're established in a child's life, you should continue to maintain some kind of closeness. Closeness isn't the right word, but
no, it's not the right word. I don't
know.
A connection of some kind.
Well, even if it's just saying they exist.
Yeah.
Send them a card,
send them a
card,
or
birthday, or make a phone call every now and then, or whatever, and but just so that they know that they're not just left out
in the wind.
Yeah, that they were just left out. And so that's kind of the 5 tips we're trying to hit on, with the divorce situation, because then you may have children that go through divorce that have kids. And I know that there are things that start to come up that as a grandparent, it adds a level of difficulty in having time with that child.
I'm sorry, I was just thinking about
But
I don't know why, it just popped into my head. Level of difficulty.
Well, because of the fact that, the parents end up getting their time.
Well,
and
their
that
time
becomes
gets
the first thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's they lose their time during a divorce with the kids. They lose time. I mean, I don't want to say that's the first thing to go, but like in that relationship, in that dynamic, grandparents are the first ones, I think, probably to like suffer after the children.
Right. Because the other thing that happens is, like, I know when I went through my divorce, that the thing that was one of the most difficult things for me to accept was the fact that I was no longer really going to have the opportunity to spend time with one child at a time, without making the others feel neglected.
Yeah.
And I even remember once when our youngest son, the older son was kind of old and he didn't hang out with us much anymore. And then the other 3 after that would hang out with me a lot. And a lot of times we go to a movie. And when we went to the movie, the middle son and my baby girl would always sit next to me. And the youngest son would end up sitting on the edge of one of them. One day he was like really upset. And I said, well, what's wrong, son? And he said, they always sit next to you. And I didn't, in my mind, I wasn't thinking about, oh my gosh, I need to make sure that
sitting arrangements of the movies.
We're taking turns and that
fair,
we're close. And he even later in life he went off with a friend and the friend's dad. They went on a little trip to like Six Flags or something. He was probably 13, and when he came back, he said, "Oh, I really want us to go there." And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure we can. As family go." And he said,
he meant
no.
you and him.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing.
That never happened because I couldn't. Hey, I didn't have that kind of relationship with their mom, and you got these days and that days, and if you trade days, and this is going to mean that I'm going to take these days and then other days and more days and this day and that day, and it's so confusing.
Yeah, it is,
and hard on the kids. 'Cause they don't know where they're coming or going.
No, sorry, my eyes keep watering. Anyway, keep going on your 5. What's the next one?
Well, offering the comfort and fun and plenty of love whenever you're around them. So understanding that you don't want to take time away from the parents, that maybe you create family time for all of you. That was one of the things that my dad was good about, was that he would plan family trips. and we would all go on a big family trip together, and so that he could have more time with the kids and
Gotcha.
things like that. And the other is stay neutral.
I was going to say neutrality. Is that something that you are good at, neutrality, or do you think?
Being neutral within, like...
I mean, if you were in a situation like that, would you be able to maintain neutrality?
Well, in my own
As a
particular
grandparent.
divorce, it was difficult at first.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean, like, could you, as a grandparent, maintain neutrality?
What do you mean by neutrality? Like, the only one I ever really had to deal with was my oldest son in his first marriage had a daughter, and the marriage didn't work out,
Right.
And I could, and there were times both of them were starting their careers,
Right.
so they needed someone to watch her, and
Yeah.
I often would volunteer, and then which would mean that my son might drop off the baby, but I'd have to take her to her mom's.
Yeah. Okay.
And because of the way the timing all worked out.
I meant by neutrality, I meant that you didn't interfere.
So, as you know, from time to time we talk about different toys on the show.
Yeah.
And then we like to show you how to get them. And one of our
So fun.
favorites is the 69-hole rocket bubble gun.
Oh my gosh. And he's going to open it and count the holes.
She's always telling me what to do.
That's true.
1, 2, 3, 4. I better count the holes another time. But as you can see, count them for yourself. 69 holes. And what it has is a rechargeable little unit. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, it's a rechargeable unit with a dish. You have packets of bubbles. Pour them in there.
Well, I don't. Give me a minute. I
Sorry.
pull out the packet of bubbles, and then you mix them all up in here with a little bit of water.
Yep.
And they dip it in and go after.
Loads of fun.
Hours of fun. They'll chase you around. Be prepared to be bubbled, because they will chase you around and make this fun for you and the entire family.
Yep.
And then try to surprise their parents when they come home.
Oh, shock.
They'll get all bubbled. Plus, the bubbles, when you do them just right, they make some incredible pictures.
It's beautiful pictures for sure.
So don't forget the rocket 69 hole
Got to make sure and add that.
rocket bubble gun. We'll have the link for you down below, and try to pick this up. It's a lot of fun.
Bye.
Well, no, and by that I was getting to the point of that. Whenever I met her mom, hey, how was your day? You know, and her mom, and because she lived with her mom and her grandmother at the time, and I was, always tried to be as cordial as possible because I wanted to maintain enough of a relationship with them so that they wouldn't, ever interfere with me getting time and trying to be there for them too, and know that I was. And that, which added a dynamic of, because her parents were divorced and then my son's parents were divorced, so then there becomes 4 sets of grandparents.
Right. That's a lot to balance.
And there's a lot of time of how you're going to get all that time together.
A lot of coordination and
people going
logistics.
here and there, yeah. And then so I had neutrality in that regard. And then the other thing is to not ask the child what you're doing with your mom or with your dad that's not your relative.
So I'm not really sure what the article is talking about is in regards to neutrality, but that's what I mean is you're not discussing things with the child. You don't want to pull them and influence them in any way.
Right. I did make the mistake in my divorce that there were times early on that my daughter felt bad because I might say something to her that you're acting like your mom. And she felt like she knew I didn't have feelings for her mom and didn't necessarily like her mom. So then she took that as to put it in together that I didn't like her.
I'm trying to
which was
sneeze. Sorry.
way not the case. It was just, I don't know. I just, sometimes when she acted like her mom, she was doing something cute, or sometimes she was not maybe being as patient as I thought she needed to be or something. And
Mm-hmm.
and I realized then that you don't say those things because you don't know how they can be impacted, how they get taken,
Right.
how they get processed, and
Right.
so you have to be really neutral in how you deal with that kind of situation too.
Yeah, I think for well, not. I mean, I'm not really. We're not really talking grandparents right now exactly, but like.
Well, it is if we, because the same situations would come up with
Well, yeah, I
grandparents.
guess so. So like, I was careful. So full disclosure, been divorced twice. So the second time, I
Because
made
you're
sure.
saying in disclosures, that we're not therapists, we're not psychologists,
Right.
we're just grandparents who know other grandparents who have gone through life experiences, and these are things we talk about every day when we're talking about our life, and
Yeah.
we started sharing them years ago, and all of a sudden people became, listeners and followers, and so we continue to do it.
Yep. Anyway, what I was gonna say is that with my youngest, I didn't really she's on the spectrum, so I didn't really share a lot of. She saw me upset, but she didn't really exactly know why, and I didn't really talk to her about it. Now, with the older ones, especially with my middle firstborn child, there was such a connection and she knew I didn't really have to say much. She knew. The older one was more torn. I think had a difficult time with the tug and pull and the tug of war thing and how her feeling, because it was harder. I think in
And
some
you're
ways.
talking about neutrality. Are you trying to express neutrality, or what are you?
Yeah, well, yeah. I was trying to say that I was trying to be more neutral with each one of them because they were older. Your kids were younger. My kids were older, and they were adults. The older two were adults, so maybe I wasn't completely as neutral with them as I was with the youngest one. So honestly, yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's neutral as much as open, because it's more of like,
I was
you
more
don't
open with
you don't want
those
to.
two. So.
I mean, yeah, I didn't know why I was getting a divorce. To be honest with you, I didn't understand it myself. So how could I explain it to them?
Yeah,
And because I thought life was going okay, and
Yeah.
and so it is hard to explain to a child, especially younger ones, why all of a sudden we're living in two different houses, and not only we're living in two different houses, you can't afford to have two nice houses anymore. You're one's nicer than the other, and you're and so that becomes a struggle. So they kind of hit on this topic as being smart about your relationship with the other parent. Like I said, you don't want them to feel like they don't want their child around you. And that just causes conflict within the parents,
Yeah.
and they're going through enough already.
All right.
So
You don't need to add to it.
yeah. So then, there's either the chance that it's gonna boil up more between those two, or one of or the other one is just gonna not bring them around as much,
Right.
Because they're afraid that they say something to their mom.
Yeah. Well, you have to be careful because your feelings matter, but they're not as important. So.
Also, be understanding when it comes to special occasions. That's a difficult
That's a
one.
tough one for some people. My mom, well, I mean, it's not divorced. Well, I mean, it kind of is, but I mean, like, she was pretty, when I was younger, pretty understanding that the household, so like that there were multiple things that you had to go to, and you couldn't always get your way with one particular holiday, and she was understanding to that.
Well, that's not even if you're in divorce. I mean, there's
Just in general,
even with our
like-
kids who aren't divorced, that they have kids with their spouse, their current spouses, and they're hopefully their only
Well, that's what I
spouses.
mean, like-
Is it they like Christmas, they want to open gifts at their house.
Yeah.
And they want to spend all day playing with those gifts.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to run over to our house.
No, I don't
Not
blame
on
them.
Christmas Day.
No.
You know, and although we did, when I was a kid, we went to my grandparents'
Yeah.
houses, you know, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. And eventually, though, when our kids got old enough, we wanted to have Christmas morning or day. And then sometimes what my dad would do, because he was out of town, they'd come stay with us at Christmas, which meant he wasn't going to have that Christmas with my brother's kids. And so it is about compromising and being understanding. And what we try to do always is we ask the kids, what are your plans?
Yeah, that's
What are
better
you going
way
to do? You
approach
know,
it.
when are you going to spend time with your mom, or when are you going to spend time with your
It's
the
definitely a
daughter-in-law's
better way
parents?
to approach it. For
And
sure.
then we end up celebrating on a day that's not even close to the day that's the holiday most of the time.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't ever have a problem with that. I think it's fine.
One year, because Dad was in town, I think we had Christmas like
New Year's Day or something.
No, it was like two weeks before.
Was it?
Yeah, it was either like 2 weeks before, or it was Thanksgiving weekend or something
Maybe.
like that.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe so.
And then when Christmas came, it was like,
what do we do?
yeah, we didn't
Have
feel,
anything to
we
do.
didn't have that tensed up feeling of like, oh, we gotta go get stuff to cook. Oh, we got to do this. Oh, we
That was
gotta do
actually nice.
And yeah, it was.
I liked it.
And everybody got to enjoy each other's company
Yeah,
for the
it was
holiday.
relaxed and easy. It was nice.
So
Yeah.
it takes a little more planning than maybe
Creativity.
what you were wanting to do, and so you have to communicate more,
for
about
sure.
what your intentions are, so you can have that. Which kind of brings us to the last point: is to emanate peace and calm. You don't want to be the
Right.
force that drives, that starts a dispute between your kids and
You
their
don't
spouse.
want to. No, you don't want to be the spark. Nope. You want to be calm and chill and.
We've had situations
Flexible.
that I
Flexibility.
won't say who, wasn't us, but one of the grandparents ignited, some of that stuff within a really special occasion, and then started passing it around and tried to hand us the baton, and we were like, "Oh
no, I'm good."
Yeah, no,
Neutral.
no, yeah, they're grown people; they do their thing, and but we're just happy when we get to have that thing happen. Yeah, and so it's like, okay, it's a difficult time to dealing with divorce, especially when there are children involved.
Yeah.
And as a grandparent, the things you can do so you don't interrupt with time that you have, especially today. We FaceTime with our grandkids, even they're down the street.
We just did that yesterday.
A couple of miles away. And instead of everybody having to feel like they pack up and get in the car seats and get dressed and get the things and we just, all right, let's just FaceTime with them, and you can make some pretty goofy, fun memories, and and you can stay in their lives every week that way, and not feel like. Now, one of the things that one set of grandkids likes to do is to have the little thing where you push it and they have fire coming out of their ears.
Oh, it's a filter. Yeah, it's a filter.
Those filters where they do
Somebody
all that
has
kind of stuff.
horns or.
Yeah, I'm trying to have a
something.
conversation with you. I don't want to see no horns. But so
Funny.
we had to deal with that. Or the other thing is, make sure you don't have vertigo or something, because then they run around the house with the phone.
Oh yeah.
And you see everything spinning around.
Spinning around.
And going around real fast, and you're trying to avoid that too. But
That's not good.
but it's a way to stay in touch.
It is.
It's a way to stay in contact. Texting. Phone
sure.
calls are still great, and I think that it's important to, like, I know that the difficulty thing with when there is a divorce in the family is that those times that they have with their child, whether it's weekends or you got these days, I got those days, and if you want to do something on the day when they're with the parent that's not your child,
Right.
then days have to be traded, and that becomes difficult, and it's just don't press for those days, you know. So a lot of our celebrations, because one of our only grandchild that has that situation, she comes home on Sundays.
Yeah.
So we plan a lot of our stuff on Sundays.
Yeah.
And
We have sushi. We haven't done that in a long time with her.
yeah,
Missed that. That was fun.
yeah. Not me. I don't like sushi.
Yeah, but I'd like
eat
to
it for
see if
you
I
guys.
I keep up with her, and I could not keep up with the amount of sushi she was eating.
So anyway,
It's
as
fun.
always, we appreciate your ideas and thoughts on how to
Yeah, absolutely.
be a parent through or a grandparent through these
Through these
situations,
situations indoors.
and you know, stories that you might have that you could share. So
Yeah.
you know, feel free to do
Contribute.
that, and yeah, and we'd love to hear all those. And thanks again for joining us.
Bye, guys.